Hey, how's it going, everybody? Long time no see. I believe last time we left off, I got the E36 dyno tuned and properly set up with the tune, and it actually runs and drives how it's supposed to. Well, it's been a minute since I've actually driven the car. There's been other stuff I've been focusing on. Some of them I might show off in some future videos. I actually have a big project planned. But for now, the focus is on this car. So recently, I got the car street legal. I got it registered. I still need the insurance for it, but it is now technically street legal here in California, which is a tall order, but I got it done. The reasoning behind it is I want to be able to drive it on the street and just get some more seat time with the car. Right now, I just don't feel that comfortable with it, just because I haven't driven it as much as I would like to. So that's kind of my whole thought process. I want to be able to just get a feel for the car and really get connected with it. Driving it on the street, you know, dailing it for a couple days out of the week, something like that, would just really help make me more comfortable with the car. That way, when we take it on the track, I have a better feel of how the car handles. So the problem is, the car, in its current state, I wouldn't say it's very street drivable. For one, the turbo sticking out of the hood, which here in California might cause a big problem. We're gonna try to fix all that stuff. It's also just way too loud. The steering vibrates a lot. There's a couple other things that I want to get done before we can actually take it on the street for the first time ever, and hopefully take it to a track event. So that is a plan for today. I already went ahead and purchased most of the stuff that we'll need. So let me just show you guys what we got. All right, so here is our box of goodies. To start, this is a Vibrant Performance ultra quiet muffler. It is a 3-inch ultra quiet resonator. So hopefully this will help reduce a lot of the noise that the E36 makes. Hopefully, if not, then we'll have to weld on another one. Oh, put that down. We also have some new tie rods that we'll be replacing, and a new belt since the current belt is all torn up. We also have a headlight restoration system, headlight restoration kit by 3M, because as you can see, the headlights need some work. We also have a master cylinder for the clutch system. Reason behind this is I have driven the car actually one time only for about like 30 seconds to a minute, just real quick around our street. And I found that the clutch engagement, it's pretty off on this car. I know the new clutch has a big part to play, but I feel like the engagement of the pedal itself, it's all the way at the very bottom, and it's very brief. So I'm hoping that a new master cylinder will help out with that. We'll see. I'm not 100% sure that it'll fix it, but hopefully it helps, if anything. And aside from that, I also have a boost gauge coming in since I currently don't have one, and it's probably a good idea to know how much boost the car is making. And I also have the adapter for the steering wheel column that I believe Rally Road makes. I'll show you guys when it shows up. That might be in a separate video, we'll see. But yeah, that's kind of everything that we're working on today. The big thing is going to be just winding it down and you know, just getting the steering right and getting the new belt on because it squeaks like crazy. And yeah, so the first thing I say we do is just bang out the exhaust. So I'm going to go ahead and jack it up, take the old exhaust off, and we can go ahead and install the new muffler. All right, so we got the muffler here. This is the end of the exhaust system. What I'm thinking of doing is cutting probably right here and cutting all the way right here and finding a way to butt these up next to each other and just get one long stream of muffler right there. When I was down there taking off the exhaust, I noticed that both the hangers were torn and the hanger on this side was torn. I think that the exhaust system, even with that on, it's going to be even worse. Is a bit too heavy for the hangers right now at the moment. So I think I'm going to go ahead and order some polyurethane bushings, and make another mount here for another bushing, because there's supposed to be two for the end piece. But I think for now, we'll just get a mock-up at least. We'll cut it, and we'll put this one in line. Hopefully we'll tack it up, and then we can see if it's even going to fit, because everything's so crammed and tight down there that it's hard to really fit everything in there, especially with all the mufflers that we have, because there's that muffler, there's this muffler, and there's one more in the mid pipe, which I would think would be enough, but it's still really loud. So we'll see how this goes. It could also be the fact that I seen that it looked like it was leaking from here, so I might have to spray some copper spray in there just to kind of help seal everything up. But yeah, that's kind of the plan. And man, I for sure know I'm going to redo this whole thing at some point with some like actual quality stainless, because this is all just eBay stuff. But I guess for now this works, since I'm kind of working under a time crunch. We don't really have much time to kind of fix the whole damn exhaust system and redo the whole thing, because it was scraping on this side where the clamp is. The clamp was all messed up. Here, let me show you. Yeah, so it turns out I don't think I made the exhaust system high enough, and every time I drive the E36 out of the driveway, it seems to want to scrape on the hanger, which is the worst spot for it to scrape on. But yeah, for now at least, I'll put that in, and I'll just reuse everything that I have while I wait for the new ones to show up, and we'll just see how the fitment's gonna end up looking. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and cut it, and then hopefully tack the new one on, take a look underneath, and then see how everything's gonna work out. So let's get started with that. Alright, so now that it's all tacked up, at least this part here seems to be fitting like how it was before. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just weld out that part and then just start slowly moving up. So let's go ahead and weld out this muffler here. Alright, so now that I have this welded up, I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same process for the rest of the exhaust. And I did bag purge it. I did just use some aluminum foil and some silicone, and I did use some 035 stainless steel rod if anybody's curious. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and bang out the rest of the exhaust, and we'll be back shortly. Alright, so got the new exhaust in, but I'm not done with it yet. I still need to add another hanger on the other side, and I'm still waiting for the new hangers to show up because these are all torn up, but they're not here yet. So in the meantime, get up. Alright, so in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and work on the other things that we need to get done. One of those is the serpentine belt, since the old one is all torn up and it's squeaking a lot. And we also got the master cylinder to do, so I think we'll bang those two things out right now, and hopefully by tomorrow everything else will show up to finish up the exhaust. So let's go ahead and bang these out. This thing's been on the bucket list for sure to replace for a while now. It's been like this for probably years, and now it's finally started squeaking. So, yep. All right. So I'm just sitting here looking at the master sill down there, thinking about how hard it's gonna be, and I realized I don't want to do it. So we're gonna skip that for now. I'm gonna jump back to the exhaust because the parts have finally arrived. We got both the hangers for the muffler at the very end, and we also have these hangers for the mid pipe. These aren't the stock BMW ones. These are just sander ones that I found on Amazon. But I'm gonna go ahead and try them out. I'll show you guys in a bit. It's not gonna be the sander way because I think they're supposed to go like this with two round rods, going through there for the hangers. But the way the beamer is set up, it's kind of more like a bar and then another bar. So I might just, instead of using them like this, just flip them over, use them like this. I'll show you guys what I mean right now. But yeah, now that we got all this, yeah, let's go ahead and finish up the exhaust. All right, so I'm crammed down under here. I'm gonna attempt to show you guys what I mean. The mid pipe hangers. So these are the stock ones. They don't make any aftermarket ones for E36s. And as you can see, they're meant for rectangular bits. Oh shit, I'm stuck. Okay. But yeah, you see how it's for a rectangular bar. That's how I set it up on the E36 if it was the stock ones. And that's how it is right now. The exhaust is too heavy. So these stock hangers, they don't really support much. They just kind of start drooping a lot, and they're starting to tear super easy. And I don't know why, for some reason they don't make aftermarket ones of these that are like, poly. So here is the one I just bought, and it's actually doing a pretty good job. It kind of looks like it's supposed to be for this car. I'll put the link in the description. It's actually not just drooping down, it's staying stiff, which is a good thing. So yeah, we're gonna upgrade these guys, and we're also gonna go back there and we're gonna mess around with the muffler. Yeah, I'm gonna swap that one out, and then we can move down there. We can take a look over there. All right, so we're back over here on this side, looking at the new hangers that we got installed now. And so the plan now is to make the same kind of bar that goes from the muffler to the hanger, but on the other side. So to do that, I got some bar, some stainless steel. I think it's like, I don't know, it's probably like 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch. I don't know. But we got some bar, so I'm going to go ahead and measure it out, try to figure out the bends, and then we can go ahead and start drilling the hole for up here, and then start figuring out a spot to weld it on the muffler itself. So let's go ahead and grab the bar of stainless steel and yeah, start cutting it up. All right, so surprisingly, just eyeballing it kind of worked. It's touching there, so I already went ahead and marked the line about where I want to cut it. I made some other lines about where I want it to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it, bring it back, make another mark right here, but on the muffler itself. That way when I take everything off, I can go ahead and put some tacks right here at the bottom, and we can kind of figure out how to get the angle right, so I can go ahead and fully weld it out and not have it suck in too much or suck out. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out, and then we can throw some tacks on it, and yeah, try to weld it out and see what happens, I guess. All right, so the exhaust is now finally in. Everything should be installed right. We got the exhaust off the list, which was a big thing. So I'm excited to see how it sounds. But yeah, in the meantime, let's just bang out everything else that we got going on. So let's move on. All right, so moving on. Looks like everything came in for the boost gauge, so we can tackle that now, which is pretty cool. We got the boost gauge here. It's by Pro Sport. It's their Evo series gauge. I've never had one of these before, so it'd be interesting to see how it turns out. We also have what's going to hold everything together, the gauge pod, and this will be mounted right behind the steering wheel. I'll show you guys where. This is made by Rally Road, and we even have the instructions for both. So I've never saw the boost gauge before, but I doubt it'll be too difficult. So I guess we can tackle this now. First, we can go ahead and tackle the gauge pod. All right, so this is basically what it's going to look like. This is the piece here. It goes right here on the steering column on the trim. So that'll rest somewhere around there. And we got the gauge pod. This will actually screw on somewhere around here. And it's pretty cool because we'll be able to see how much boost we're making when we're just cruising along. It even has space for another one, which I don't know what exactly I'd put yet, but for now we can just keep the one for the boost and go from there. So the first thing, I read the instructions a bit. It's going to be taking off this trim piece for the steering column. We're going to go ahead and drill some holes. As you can see, it's threaded down here at the bottom. We drill some holes on it and just screw it in place like this. And that should be it for the most part. So I'm going to go ahead, take this top piece off, and we can drill some holes on it. So let me take it off.
So for installing the gauge pod kits, it wasn't too hard. You just have to go on the Rally Road website, and there's a template there. You can print it out, and it gives you the right dimensions to go ahead and drill out the holes. And then from there, you just screw the gauge pod onto the upper trim piece there, and it's basically all there is to it, and it's good to go. Then from there, I moved on to installing the boost gauge, which was not too difficult. It came with instructions, as you would expect, and if you guys have installed gauges in the past, they're all pretty much, similar. So the first thing I did was just tap into a vacuum line, a good one. I tapped into the one that goes straight to the ECU for boost reference, and then from there I ran the line all the way through the dash where the glove box is, and then back around into where the steering wheel is, right underneath there on the driver's side. The hard part was finding a good ground and a good 12 volt constant power and 12 volt ignition source. It took me a couple of tries to get it down, but eventually I did kind of figure out how to get it to work right, and ended up coming out pretty good.
All right, so the new gauge pod and boost gauge is in and installed, and it's looking pretty sick. As you can see, you can change the colors on it. I think I'm digging the red right now. And this one also has some cool settings. You could also view the peak boost that you make at any time, and if you hold it, you can set the warning, so it'll actually give you a warning if you're going over a certain boost threshold. I'll keep it at 14 because we're supposed to be peaking at around 11 psi, but we'll be testing that out shortly. But yeah, now that this is in, there's really only one thing left to do, and that's to start the car, see how the exhaust sounds, and go take it for a rip.
It's still pretty loud, but it's not as bad now. I put the suspension on like the softest setting right now, so we'll see if it feels any different.
Alright, so mission accomplished. We drove around the street. It survived. There's still some things that need addressing. One is the diff ratio in the rear is a bit too aggressive. It's a 391 in the rear, welded diff. When I'm on the freeway at like 60 miles an hour, it's pegged at like 4,000 RPM, so that's a problem. And the turbo is still sticking out of the hood, which here in California might cause a bit of trouble for me. So we're gonna have to get those two things fixed. It also makes a squeal. I think it might be the power steering. I was hoping the belt would fix it, but it didn't. And on top of that, the wheels vibrate quite a bit. The steering wheel shakes. So I'm gonna have to look at that too. It might just be the tires need balancing, or the alignment just needs adjusting. But we got it done. The boost gauge works. The car works. It's drivable right now. Nothing blew up. It's going good. So now it's time to take it on the track. So right now I'm on my way to Thunderhill. As you can see, the car is behind me. I don't know if you can see it. But we're on our way to Thunderhill, which is a track up here in Northern California. And I'm gonna meet up with some buddies. We're gonna go drive it on the track and see how it goes. It's gonna be the real test. See how it holds up. So let's get it. Alright, so we made it back from the event. I just want to apologize in advance. I'm pretty sure I didn't record enough of the whole event. I got caught up in it. I got, a little bit of footage, but it was my first time in probably like a year since I've gone actually drifting again, and yeah, it was a fun time, man. The engine survived. Didn't blow up this time, which is a good thing. That's progress right there. That is progress. Funny enough, on the first lap I did, on the first turn, I went to throw it in, and I just yeeted it off to the side. I don't know what happened there. And then later on in the first lap, the fucking tie rod ended up, the inner tie rod ended up separating from the outer tie rod. And even stripped the threads. It just kind of unthreaded itself out somehow, some way. I think it was only held on by like 1 or 2 threads, and it just popped off, and I had to get it pushed out. And fun times. That's funny enough too, because we were supposed to replace the tie rods in this video, and I was too lazy to do it, and it bit me in the butt. Yeah, I think when I first did the tie rods, I cut them for some reason. I forgot why. So they're shorter. But they're too short now for the angle kits that it has, just the cut knuckles, but cut knuckles and E36 arms, but they're too short, and there's barely any threads holding them on. So throughout the whole event, I just had one wheel that was just towed in a lot, and it made for an interesting event. It was interesting trying to drive the car like that. But I was able to make it work for the most part, but there was still a lot of spins, and I had to kind of relearn how to drift. But it was fun. It was a good time. But yeah, we made it through that. Some things that I'm learning is the diff ratio is a bit too aggressive right now. It has a 391. On the freeway, when you're going like 55 miles an hour, it just 4,000 RPM. It is just screaming the whole way. I was actually planning on driving the car to the event, but I made a little test run on the freeway, and I mean, you guys seen the footage. It's loud. It is loud. So I do plan on making this car a street slash drift car. So I do want to be able to drive it to events, drift it, and drive it back without needing a dolly and trailer. It's just less work. It's a lot easier. So I think we're gonna do that. We have to change out the diff for a different ratio. I'm thinking the 345 right now, just a little bit less, just to see how that goes. Because at the same time, I don't want to lose that bottom end torque from the diff. Because when I was drifting, I noticed that when the boost isn't on, it's super slow. It's bogging. So when I'm shifting from second to third, I really have to give it a lot of clutch kicks to get it engaged, because it just wants to bog. So that's gonna be something I'm gonna have to play with. Who knows? I might even have to swap out the turbo for a different one. But right now, we'll just start off with switching out the diff and seeing what happens. I'll just try to. I also have to kind of get used to the car and drifting it and all that with the turbo. The other thing is the turbo right there. It's sticking out of the hood. We're gonna have to fix that for sure. That's a problem. I'll probably like invert the dump tube, make it shoot out the bottom, and then just make a cover for it. But that's in the next video. That's the plan for that. But we're making progress towards making the car more street drivable. The exhaust was a big thing. It's a lot quieter now. It's still loud. Surprisingly, it's still loud, even with 4 resonators on it. But it's quieter. So it's at the point where, I'm not going to throw another one on there. It's as quiet as it's going to get for now. We had the boost gauge in, and I'm forgetting what else we did, but we're making progress towards the goal here for this car. There's a bunch more things that I want to do, but they're all minor, smaller things, or things I'm just going to have to wait and just kind of push it aside. Like the seat is a bit too big for me. It's a Corbeau seat. I didn't know they were for slightly larger folk. I'm super skinny, so I need something that can really hug me, because I was like, I could feel it. I'm like moving with the inertia of the car, and I think a Cipher front sway bar would actually help too. The suspension needs a lot of work. It's a long list, but for now, we're making progress. We'll tackle a diff, a turbo, and the tie rods, and we'll see where to go from there. And yeah, next drift event, I'll try to get a lot more footage, and I'll probably bring somebody out with me. That's also a big thing, somebody that can record. But I think I'm just rambling at this point. But yeah, it's been fun. Drift event, super fun. This video, all the stuff we did, it was a good time. And yeah, if you guys like the video, you guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Everybody knows. And yeah, until next time, guys. Later.